Hi, this is Jeff with GMT-5.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Oris Aquis Date. Now, Oris is a go-to brand for affordable mechanical wristwatches, and their divers are particularly celebrated for striking the right balance between the tool diver look and a watch suitable for everyday wear. The Aquis is, I think, a great example of how Oris offers high quality at obtainable price points, and it has a rugged appearance without being chunky or ugly, and it's sophisticated enough without being boring or inevitably derivative of other iconic divers. A lot of folks might be familiar with Oris's TT1 divers, which had a more donut-shaped case, and you'll notice right off the bat that the beveling on the case of the Aquis is more angular. The Aquis features a 43mm, mostly brushed, stainless steel case. It's 50mm lug to lug and about 12mm thick. The watch wears modestly relative to its specs, and that's due to the angle of the case. Notice how the side of the case angles inward to yield a smaller diameter at the bezel than at the case back. So it looks and feels like you're wearing a 42mm watch. The transition from case back to bezel is subtle on the Aquis and was more extreme on the TT1, which had a 44mm case, which potentially makes the Aquis appeal to a broader audience, although it does sacrifice some unique character to the watch. Countering that, the crown guard is a new addition to something we didn't see in the TT1 before. What's interesting about the crown guard is that it's actually a separate piece of steel and it's physically screwed to the side of the case, so it creates this industrial asymmetry that refuses to let the watch be boring or unimaginative. You can really feel the build quality and the weight, and all the parts of the watch you're supposed to use are really simple to operate. The 120 click bezel is easy to grip and there's no play in it, the same with the crown, which is perfectly sized and turns beautifully. It has a display case back that shows off the famous red rotor found on all Oris watches, and despite having a sapphire transparent case back, it still is water resistant to 300 meters. I appreciate the Aqua style for its originality. It's a clean and functional design that doesn't feel stolen. So many divers in the $1,000 to $2,000 price range are derivative or worse, outright copycats of other watches, and that's disappointing. It's a matte black dial with applied and luminous markers that are sandwiched between, thin polished steel edges. The 6 o'clock date position maintains the dial symmetry, and the black wheel blends seamlessly with the dial. The hands are pretty basic and the same sword style hands you'll see on the TT1 versions, but differentiating the hour and the minute hand is easy, and there's even some applied lume to each of the hands, so it's easy to see the time at night. Both the front and back have a sapphire crystal. The front is domed and anti-reflective, and I think it's a much better execution than that of the TT1, which would often distort the view when reading the time at an angle. When you look at the time, no matter the angle on the Aquis, the presentation is clear. The Aquis is powered by the Oris Caliber 733, which is a modified Sellita SW200 automatic movement. The SW200 is essentially a clone of the ETA 2824 and just as reliable. You can pick up an Aquis in several dial variations. There's black, there's gray, there's blue, silver, and each one can be had on a rubber strap or a steel bracelet. The rubber strap is excellent, super soft, has that great vanilla scent, and it molds well to the wrist. The clasp, though, is out of this world. It's really impressive. When you wanted to size the TT1's rubber strap, you had to cut it, which frankly sucks because wrists change size over time, throughout the day and from season to season. And cutting is irreversible. The new deployant clasp treats the rubber like leather, so the loose end weaves through the buckle and hides under the end of the strap when it's on your wrist. The wetsuit extension is brilliant because it's also a micro adjustment for the strap. You're guaranteed to get the right fit without the anxiety of cutting, which is really nice. I also really enjoy the look of the buckle. It's one of the aspects of the watch, like the polished crown and coin-edge bezel, that Oris dressed up so you feel like you got something nice. It's a really good example of how Oris has a sensible interpretation of a tool watch. One caution on the watch is that it has an integrated bracelet system, so you can't just fit an aftermarket strap on the watch. If you know that going into it and you like Oris straps, you'll have no problem and you'll love the watch. But if you prefer leather or NATO, then maybe this watch isn't for you. The Oris Aquis retails for $1,800 on a black rubber strap. Automatic divers in this range are a dime a dozen among so many watch brands, and most are unfortunately uninspired. The Oris Aquis is a good-looking and rugged diver, however you might be turned off by its limiting integrated lug design. Overall, it's a well-made and attractive watch with a sensible but tool-inspired design for a reasonable price. Until next time, this is Jeff with GMT-5.com, and we'll see you again soon.